Hello, everybody. My name is Kashawn Hopkins. I'm an instructional technology specialist from Oklahoma Public School Resource Center. I'm here today to talk about Google Forms. I'm also joined here with my colleague. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Kurt Bernhardt. I'm the Director of Technology for OPSRC, and Kashawn and I make up the tech team here.
Yeah, if you ever want to reach out to the tech team, we got a nice and easy email right over here. It's techteam@opsrc.net. So if you want to ever talk about anything in the tech talks or any piece of technology out there, we would love to hear from you. So go ahead and shoot us an email. Even if you just want to say, hey, just go ahead and do that right over there. If you're following along, if you'd like to follow along, you have these slides. I have a link for you right over here. I recommend that you take a look at them because they have all sorts of wonderful goodies in there just in case you want to extend your learning. This address is case sensitive, so I'm going to read it off real quick. It's lowercase t period ly/uppercase SPJU. You should be able to get to these slides. There is another place where you can get them, but I'll show you that a little bit later. It'll be on our Tech Talk page. You should check it out for sure. But for those who are a little unfamiliar with Google Forms, I do just want to let you take a look and see what we're getting here. I have kind of a sample form over here. So this is what it would look like if someone is taking one of the forms that I've created here. Very simple design, but it looks pretty clean here. So it's a bit of a test form. I have some instructions, a title, a nice little header picture right there. Got a multiple choice question. I slapped an image in there of this lovely puppy. So this is a picture of a dog, boom. All of these are kind of like interactive buttons here. And if you want to get real cool, crazy with it, I can see you can create kind of like a logic path. So like it will take you to a different section or a different page of your quiz, depending on how you answer a question. Like, for example, this one says, how do you want your cats? I can say as an image. Takes me to a section with the image of the cat. Or maybe if I don't like that, maybe I can do it as a video. You can see you can embed videos inside of your surveys here. Or if you want to see more question types, here's some more. You could do the open response, multiple select. All of these buttons work. Got my drop-down menus, file uploads, linear scales, Likert scales, checkbox goods, date. So there's lots of little question types out there to play with and cover some of the common stuff out there. And when you do in your form, it'll ask you to submit there, and it's going to record my response. And you can record either anonymously, just in case you just need some feedback out there, or you can attach it with email addresses quite easily. And so there's lots of nice little functions inside of Google Forms. It's kind of a nice little survey tool that's easy to pick up and use. And I think this is a great tool for the classroom because you can use that data to help drive that instruction there. Just so you know what we're getting into in the next 27-ish minutes, I'm going to do a little bit of introduction, which we've just done. So we're already ahead of the schedule here. I'm going to do a little bit of theory, just asking some questions, building a little bit of foundation. So all of the information that I give about Google Forms will be in kind of a nice context there and give you a little some things to reflect on. Next, I'm going to focus specifically about the tool, which is Google Forms in this Tech Talk, and do a little bit of showcase, show you how easy it is to just jump in the tool, make something real quick, and then spit it out and get some information, get some of that application there. Speaking of application, the next thing I'm going to do is invite you all to envision what would this tool look like in your classroom. And so I'm going to spend a bit of time on that. Then I'm going to round things out by sharing some things that I found in my research about Google Forms, just giving you some resources here, share a little bit of evaluation, answer any questions you might have. So with that, let's jump on in. First of all, my objective here, after this training, teachers will be able to integrate Google Forms in their classroom to help students achieve learning goals and acquire 21st century skills here. So I would love to break this objective down. I always got to have my objectives here whenever I give my training, so we have a little bit of direction and focus there. And the first things first I want to try to tackle is the fact that Google Forms is an amazing assessment tool with lots of little functions to kind of help you improve that instruction. And so the first thing that I would like us to kind of grapple with here is just asking the question, why do we assess? And there are loads of answers, and you might have one already as well. But I'm going to give just a few things just to kind of keep in the forefront, because all of these are things we're going to look for inside of Google Forms here. So first of all, we do it to give feedback to the students. We want to see their progress in there and try to make some improvements there. Another thing is that we tie in standards here. We try to set them in here. So this is like tying things into learning goals. That way we know, are we accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish here? Are we making the progress we want to see? Are we seeing the results here? We do it to evaluate progress here, something I mentioned a little bit before. We want to relate progress. So something to keep in mind is that, learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. Everything's kind of connected together into kind of this built story that we're trying to build throughout the year that's connected to the story that other people have brought into the year. And so assessment helps tie all that stuff together. And of course, got to motivate that performance. And I don't think this just applies to students. I think this can apply to you as well as educators, as teachers. I think we could use a little bit of a motivation here, and just having that data and seeing how effective what you're doing is with respect to what the students are doing is just a powerful motivator. The next thing I would love to talk about is once you're convinced that you have a piece of technology in your classroom, you want to spend some of the time, you want to start using some of that. One of the questions I want to invite everybody to think about is how to integrate that technology. Now, like I said before, lots of ways to answer that question, but one way that I would like to recommend here is the SAMR model. I think it's easy and quite flexible. The basic idea is how you use a piece of technology and the different functions that you bring in could fit inside of these different categories. So, and you don't have to fit into just one tier at a time. You can be at multiple tiers as well, but this just gives you an idea of how can you maximize the use of a technology when you bring it into your classroom. So like, for example, you can use technology as a direct substitute for something that you're doing, or you could take advantage of some of the functions that the piece of technology provides. You can use it completely. You could build a whole task based off of using that technology, or you could create a new task that wouldn't even been possible without that technology being in your classroom. So I try to help people work at this transformational stage, but there is no problem, there is no shame at all working at the substitution augmentation stage until you kind of build that confidence in there, get over that kind of anxiety of introducing something new into your classroom here. So I'm going to bring up the SAMR model a little bit later. I think it fits really nicely with my application section, but for right now, I want to give some information about what we are here for, which is Google Forms. Let me answer a few questions here. First of which, what is it? Very simply, it's a software service. Let me try it again. A survey software. There we go. A little bit of a tongue twister for me there. The next part is, what can it do for my classroom? There's lots of different things you can do. One, it's good on gathering opinions. You got to hear from your students. If you want to do any kind of student-led instruction, the more you get to know your students and kind of their thoughts and feelings and what direction they would like to go for their learning, the more you can kind of connect with them and help motivate them. Next, assess students. Of course, you can use it as a quiz tool. It will automatically grade for you, which is really, really nice. Save a bit of that time. Next, you can give feedback. You could do that automatically as well. You can do some data analysis. Also, you can pull up reports automatically, export to sheets, and encourage reflection. I think this is a good reflection tool if you get students to start feeling more comfortable using it and just kind of putting some input in there regularly. All right, without further ado, let's jump into where we can access it, which is forms.google.com. And if you're a frequent user of the Google stuff, the Google Suite, all of those wonderful tools here, if you go to the top right-hand corner, click that 3x3 Google app button over there, you should be able to find Forms, that big, nice purple button down over there. But for right now, let's jump into this page right over here. This is our front page for Forms. I just want to spend a little bit of time working on this here. So first of all, I can see at the bottom my recent forms. So these are everything that I've created before. At the click of a button, I can jump right back into any projects that I've run before. Or at the very top of my screen, you can see here, I got templates for exit tickets, assessments, worksheets, course evaluation. And if you don't see something in there that you can use, I highly recommend that you peruse this template gallery over here, just to give you an idea of things that are, just already created. At a click of a button, it will create the file for you, and you can edit anything in there. So you can always swap things out if everything's not exactly to your liking. But for us, since I'm doing a little bit of showcase, let me just start with the clean, nice blank form here. So I'm going to click this big plus sign, top left-hand corner where it says blank. Click on that. And we're off to the races here. So allow me to break this up into sections and point out a couple of nice things here. Top left-hand corner, we have the home button. So if you ever want to go back to the forums home, which is the page we were at a second ago, you can click on that forums page. It takes us back here. Additionally, on your very first step, highly recommend that you do this. Otherwise, things can get a little messy. Click on where it says entitled form, give it a name. So that's a very good idea. I'm going to say form example. And then it will save it inside of your Google Drive as that. So that way you're not messing with a bunch of untitled forms and you lose what you were working with there. You don't want to do that. Next, I want to bring everybody's attention to the top right-hand corner. Lots of little buttons for us to click there. But if you ever forget what any of these buttons stand for, I'm going to make it a little bigger for you. You can always hover over that button and it will give you a little tooltip. Like, for example, I can hover over this and it says customize theme. And this is a quick way that you can swap out colors. If purple's not your thing, that's totally fine. I can click on any one of these colors and it will swap up the theme for the whole page. I can also do that for the background as well. And they try to give suggestions on things that will kind of fit the scheme that you have there. But if you ever want to change it, click the plus button and you can do a custom color, which looks quite nice. You could even change the font as well, make it decorative, formal, playful, no problem. Or you can add a header image up there. Maybe, lots of lovely little template ones in here too. Let's do this nice little cute technology thing. I guess robots have something to do with technology here. So let's do that. Sure, that works. And some lovely gray, and infra-gray colors for my theme. Thank you for that, Google Forms. Next is the preview button with the eyeball up here, top right-hand corner. This is real nice because I'm really a nervous designer. I have to see what it looks like on the opposite side when I'm designing something. So this is really great for people like me. And also, if you click the options and click submit, it will actually record a response. So you see it says your response has been recorded. And I can see up here where it says responses, I have one in the tab in the middle. Keep that section in mind. I'm going to come right back to that so you can see some reports. Next is the little cog that says settings. In here, you can do things like set a setting to collect emails, very important, or allowing respondents to edit and submit. I highly recommend that you take a look and just kind of peruse through these settings here before you start creating. But one particular tab I want to bring everyone's attention to, which is the quizzes tab right here. If you want something to be automatically graded, because by default, it's going to treat it like a survey. It's not going to matter whether or not they answer everything, as long as they answer everything that's required, press submit, boom. But there's no point values attached to that. Through this, if you click make this quiz, you can start enabling some quiz options that are worth looking at. And one kind of nice thing over here, I just want to point it out, if you're working on Chromebooks and you want to do a locked mode on that, kind of like a lockdown browser, you can only use certain tabs type of deal, you can enable that. But keep in mind, this only works on Chromebooks. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. I think this works great for classroom, when people back in the classrooms, you're in there, you have like a cart full of them. Like that's probably a perfect situation for that. I'm going to keep that on though and press save. All right, let's jump into the features here. One feature is a lot of this, I'm going to make this a little bigger, slower for me, smaller. There we go. A lot of this is clicking and editing. So like, for example, where it says form example, that's great for me to figure out what this file is, not great for the users to see. That looks ugly. So I can say, I don't know, survey for cool, attractive people. All you people right there. This is a survey for you, so shout out. Great, and you just notice I clicked, I typed, and then it's all in there already. And you can even give you a little form description in there, so a little home row description there. And I could do the same with questions and choices as well. I got a standard multiple choice question here. I'm going to click on untitled question and type in and say answer is C. There you go. So this little section over here is where my prompt is, or my question in there. If I scroll a little bit to the left here, I can see this little picture symbol. So you can always insert pictures in there. You can either upload it, you can pull it from Google Photos or Google Drive. You can do an image search. I could even take a picture with my camera. It's not going to let me do that because I'm already using it. But I know I have at the ready my OPSRC Tech Talks. Got to have it on the ready to bust out here. Next, what's a multiple choice question without choices? So let me click on a few of these options down here. So I'm going to give A, B, and notice up here, Google Forms is giving me some suggestions here. They're saying, hey, you just put in A and B. You want C and D already? I can click on add all and it will spit that out. So it gives you kind of nice little suggestions for like common style choices here. So it's pretty nice. Keep a lookout for that. And something to also note is that you can add images inside of choices as well. So really nice feature in there if you want your choices to be pictures. And also you can click add other to give kind of like an open response at the very end of a multiple choice. So sometimes that applies. All right, 15 minutes, huh? Doing pretty okay over here. Okay, next. Since you were dealing with the quiz here, I can put in an answer key here on the bottom left-hand corner of that section here. If I click on that, I said that the answer is going to be C. I don't want to be a liar. So I'm going to click C here to specify that's the answer. Oh, excuse me. On the top right-hand corner, I need to assign a point value on here. So this is worth something. I'm just going to say 1 point. But once you have those two things, when someone takes this quiz, it will automatically grade using this key here. Additionally, I can click on add answer feedback, and I can give feedback based on correct answers, incorrect answers, and I can also attach a link and a video in here. So if you want to give kind of like more instruction here, maybe you could make your own videos, which if you need help with that, we got some tech talks out there for that. But just in case, if you do like giving kind of like personal face-to-face feedback through something like that, I think that's kind of a cool way to do that. But for right now, I'm going to say I'm done. And then bing, bang, boom, I have a nice little multiple choice question. But like you saw in the example, that's not the only kind of one that you can do here. If I click on the drop-down menu here on the top right-hand corner, I can click on multiple choice and I can change the question types here. So I definitely don't have enough time to run through all of these, but I highly recommend if Google Forms is kind of speaking to you or you kind of see the functions here, something I highly recommend that you do is go in here, create a couple of questions and start playing with those question types, because I think you can get a lot of value out of that. You can see at the top, short answer and paragraph for those open response. We got multiple choice checkbox and drop down for just so you can click and make some choices there. Got file uploads. And then you have kind of like the more complex linear scale, multiple choice grid, checkbox grids, all of that kind of given that rows and columns type answers here. And you can even get a little date and time on here as well. So I think that is quite useful to explore there. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, the sections at the bottom. Totally forgot. Down here at the bottom right-hand corner of every question, we have a couple of more icons there. We have the duplicate key. We have this little trash can, which deletes questions. We have the required button. So real quick, PSA here, all questions in Google Form automatically are optional. If you want them to be required, you got to turn that on, toggle that on, or I believe it's up here. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, top right-hand corner, if I click on these three dots that say more, I click preferences. You can say make all questions required. Totally fine. And even if this is a quiz, you can also assign a default quiz point value. So if you just want to save a little bit of time, you can make those settings done as your default settings for your forms there. So something to keep in mind. One last thing, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I would love to, but if this is something that you're like, oh, I could probably use that, is on those three dots on the bottom right-hand corner of my question here, right next to the required button, you can have it show description. But two things here is the shuffle option order, I think is really useful, and also go to section based on answer. So something that you can do is create question form logic in here. That way that it will respond based off of the type of questions you have on here. Maybe you're sending out a survey to all students in a school, but you want a different survey for freshmen, a different survey for sophomore, junior, senior, but you want that all grouped into one form. You can do that through here. So maybe if they answer A, it takes them to section 2 for questions about freshmen. If you answer B, it takes them to a section specifically for sophomores and so forth and so forth. So really cool functionality in here that you can build. All right, let's see, what else do I have here? Ooh, this little floating bar here. So I'm going to click this first option that says add question. You got this little bar, and this is how you can change settings specifically for questions themselves. So if I click that, by default, it'll spit out a section so I can put multiple choice. And if I click, it's a little hard to see here, but if I'm going to try scrolling there, you can see that there's 2 horizontal rows of dots there on top of my question. If I click and drag that, it will allow me to rearrange the order of my questions, no problem. But yeah, just want to point out a couple of these buttons here. The second button is import questions. If you have questions from one form, you can always pull them into another. So you're always constantly building and reusing things. Next is add a title and description. It's basically a block of text that you can add for questions. Maybe you want to expand there. I can add images. I can add video on here. It just adds blocks to that way. You don't have to always have a question attached to a piece of content. So that's really nice for that. And then, of course, add a section, and that is tied together with that survey logic business that I was jumping into before. And keep in mind, these settings are context sensitive. So if I'm editing the answer C question, but I want to change settings for the question right above it, I just have to click on that question, and then you can see that the toolbar is going to move up to remind me these are the settings for this question here. All right. Ooh, one last thing, almost forgot, responses. And then we got to wrap some stuff up here. So I'm actually going to take us back to my example for my survey, because I know I already have some stuff ready for it. There it is. And if I click on the responses tab, check out all of the cool information it will just spit out for me. I didn't have to generate any reports or do any of that stuff. This whole page is generated based off of the responses. It's actively building itself. And there's 3 sections that you should be aware of. The summary section, which gives you good information about your whole class. Question section, which I think is good for like item analysis, so you can make improvements on the form itself. And the individual section, so that way you can give that feedback to that student that needs it. You can see how they responded here. So let me point out a few things. I have on the summary section, you have things like average, median, range. You can see kind of a nice histogram of the distribution of scores. You can see frequently missed questions, which are questions with less than a 50% correct response rate. And you can see all that information here. Very lovely pie chart here. That's kind of nice. So I can see how people responded to this one question. So all of this is generated for you in your use here. Also, if I swap to questions here, I can see I could swap between any one of these questions and see how people responded to them. And then individual, I could see this whole report here on how this person answered this, all of these forms here. And I can even click on this print symbol to print out their response as well. So pretty nice. And once you're done, top right-hand corner, I can click on the sheet button. And I could take all of my stuff from Google Forms and put it into a Google Sheet. That way, if I want to do extra analysis on it, I have that option. All right, I would love to keep talking about this, but I know I got to wrap this up here. Only got about 7 minutes here with y'all. Ooh, one last thing. Gosh, I wouldn't want to miss this. Top right-hand corner, once the survey is ready, click send. And you can send it a bunch of different ways, either through email. I can click on this tab and send it as a direct link. I can click on this and do it as an embedded HTML. Oh boy, there's something up with one of my questions, but typically it would give me like an embed code. I could put it in a website or something. Or you could send it through Facebook or Twitter if you just want to, just get a vibe check out there. All right. right. Hopefully, if you're doing that showcase, I've at least gotten you a little excited about that, or maybe at the very least, just piqued your interest about what's possible there. But now I want to invite everybody to just kind of visualize what will this look like in my classroom. So it could look like a bunch of different ways. Like, for example, I have a substitution recommendation here. You could use Google Forms to go paperless, so you can save time and resources. Like if you want to do exit slips or automatically graded quizzes, you build them out there. And not only that you can use it then, but you can keep on using that over and over every year. You just make a little bit of tweaks here and there. And then you automatically have those responses in a place where you can pull them into Google Sheets or something like that. So I think that's quite good application there. Like an augmentation style application would be using those report features. I absolutely love the fact that they do quite a bit of analysis for you automatically. So you just have to click on it and then respond it in a bunch of different ways. So I think you could analyze the class, how everybody's doing, or kind of see like where are those holes there in their learning there. So you can look at the summary section, or you could revise the quiz by taking a look at the question section, or you could give feedback to students by looking at the individual section. So that's all there for you. Next is the modification application. Something like this, I think a good activity would be having students create a daily log. I put my recommendation down here. They monitor their emotional health. So maybe they just do a little reflection. How are they doing? And maybe you can kind of respond to that as well. But just having students being able to kind of like put into words what they're going through emotionally. We've gone through just such a crazy time recently. And I think this is probably a neat little activity that you could do with your students, just having them share with someone who's going to listen. And then finally, a redefinition activity, just creating something that didn't exist before. If this is something you're interested in, I think this could be a really impactful activity of having students work as a group and build kind of like a choose your own adventure story using sections and survey logic. So it's a little bit of advanced moved here, but it does involve quite a bit of planning, quite a bit of critical thinking, collaboration, just having all of those different skills kind of working together to kind of communicate a story and just kind of putting the power in your students' hand here. Because I like to suggest to this thing, because this tool I've kind of presented as kind of like a teacher-led type of thing, and then you get the information for the students. This activity here just kind of pushes that tool into their hands and see what they come up with. And I think that's I think that's kind of powerful thing that you can do there. All right. I am going to wrap this up. First of all, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to me talk about Google Forms and all that stuff. I get fired up whenever I'm talking about these technology tools, because I just think about how they can be used to transform what you're already doing in your classroom, just kind of giving you that extra push and getting those students extra prepared here. So if this is something that you're interested in, I highly recommend that you check out these Google Form goodies here. This page is filled with links of different places that I think can help generate ideas. Like, for example, these first two links are just filled with nothing but just kind of cool ways that you can use Google Forms in your classroom. Additionally, if you just need help getting started, or if you want to build your knowledge, if you would just want to learn more, because there was no way I'm going to cover the whole scope of Google Forms in just a 30-minute tech talk here, but there's so much more information out there. I highly recommend that you seek out. And I think those two places are a good place to start. Next of which, I have a page dedicated specifically to the SAMR model over here. And so I think even if Google Forms didn't work out for you, if you could just pull out the part about SAMR model and apply it to other pieces of technology that you're using, or maybe you're just now just trying to feel out, okay, I know I need to make some changes in my classroom. Let's see what's out there. I think the SAMR model is a good place to just see what does it look like, or what are some different activities with some different pieces of technology to look at that I could easily put in my classroom, kind of like a low risk, low anxiety kind of way. So check out those resources. I think they will do you some good. And then finally, my thank you page. We're all done here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for sticking in here with me. There's just a few more things that I'd like to point out. First of which, if you like what we do here, or heck, if you didn't like what we do here, we want to hear about your feedback. We want to make some improvements so that next time we could make it better. So please take a look at this link over here. It is case sensitive, so I'm going to read it out. Lowercase t, period, ly, / GGZ as in zebra, uppercase K. If you do that, hey, look at this. It is a Google form, really easy, really simple, one page where you press submit, and it helps us out tremendously. I also want to give you kind of a nice reminder, just in case. I'm Kashawn Hopkins. I'm joined here with Kurt Bernhardt. Together we make the technology team. Reach out to us at techteam at opsrc.net. I also have a link to the slides, or even better, I'm going to do you better here. You could go to opsrc.net/techtalks, and you can see the other things that we're doing. So if you like what we're doing here, but you want to do more, we got you covered over here. We're doing quizzes, we're doing Kahoot, we're doing Nearpod. I think these are all going to be amazing. So don't miss out. And even if you did miss out, because I've been doing Tech Talks for a couple months now, at the very bottom, we have these lovely archived Tech Talks. I highly recommend that you take a look at this whole section because it is filled with all sorts of goodies that not only the videos, but all of the presentation slides is there because, you know, I like you guys. I think we're doing pretty great over here. Just in case you look through this page and you're like, wait a minute, Kashawn or Kurt, there's a tool that I absolutely love that I use all the time that I would love for other people to know about. We have a big old button right over here in the middle of the page that says suggest a future tech tool. We'll be able to take a look at that suggestion and who knows, we might be able to do another Tech Talk, or heck, we might invite you to come on in and you could talk about this stuff. We would love to hear something about some passionate teachers out there. So with that, I am so out of time. Thank you so much, everybody, for staying here. I really do appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day.